Is Dorsey right? Should the blame be put on Brown and the old regime and not on head coach Hugh Jackson?
Dorsey's a little ungrateful here. I mean, I get trying to protect your coach, even though Jackson has made a lot of mistakes. But if I'm taking over this Browns job, I'm thanking the previous regime. You're coming into a great position. They are loaded for this draft with picks at the top of the draft, you know, a few in the top 10 right now, including the #1 pick overall if the season ended. They've actually drafted pretty well according to draft scores over the last several years. Everyone is focused on Wentz, and that's a huge miss and a huge blunder, but that doesn't mean you can't build up the rest of the roster going forward. And there's also this idea of the analytics thing that keeps getting thrown into these stories, and these old school guys are saying, you know, the game isn't played on paper, it's not played in calculators, it's played between the lines. So the idea of throwing that dig in there, that might be a little bit of stroking the old school ego, but he's going into a good situation, and he's set up if the Browns do anything going forward, right? Because the standards are so low to receive only credit and no blame. Yeah, the analytics thing, I don't think it works as well in football. I see it in the NBA. I see it in baseball as very valuable. I think football, there's a very traditional way of seeing players on the field and how they react from banging heads out there. That's a big factor of this. But what Dorsey, I think, was trying to say was that Sashi Brown was a bad personnel guy. He wasn't a bad, necessarily, draft guy, a cap guy. He cleared $100 million in cap space. They have 5 picks in the first 2 rounds going into this season. The problem is he missed on Wentz. He traded down from Wentz, and then he traded down again and missed on Deshaun Watson as well. So a franchise that is begging for a franchise quarterback to pass on those QBs, those were questionable moves. Here's the thing. 1-27 record under Sashi Brown. You bring in Dorsey. This guy has won conference titles, Super Bowl titles, 9 playoff berths, 11 division titles. He's won. That's what the Cleveland Browns need, someone who knows how to win. Let me defend analytics for a second, and this as a referendum. One, I don't think most analytics guys are only about the numbers, right? It's a combination of both. Any smart person is evaluating any factor and all factors and making a decision. The other is, just if someone fails doesn't mean the methodology is bad. The execution can be bad, as you said. So the thought process behind it can be sound, but if you're not making the right individual choices, then it's not going to work regardless of how you got there. It's got to be a balance, doesn't it? I mean, I'm not throwing analytics out the window, but when you build a front office staff that is just so heavy on the analytics, I mean, they brought in Paul DePodesta, who's an analytics guy from Major League Baseball, to run things over there. So I think you have to have the balance, the analytics, and then a guy who's a personnel, a strictly football guy to work together in tandem.